Bust in silhouette. Personal career information. Full name, Georgia Marie Stanway. Born, the 1st of March 1999, age 26, in Barrow-in-Furness, Cumbria, England. Height, approximately 1.64 meters, 5 feet 5 inches. Playing position, attacking midfielder, box to box. Club career. Blackburn Rovers 2015, started her professional career and made 5 appearances, scoring 6 goals. Manchester City 2015 to 2022, signed at 16, quickly became a mainstay. The team won the WSL in 2016, the FA Cup in 2017, 2019, 2020 and the League Cup in 2016, 2018-19, 2021-22. Stanway was named in the UEFA Champions League Team of the Season, 2017-18, and PFA Women's Young Player of the Year, 2018-19. Bayern Munich, 2022-present, moved to Bayern in the summer of 2022, signing a contract until 2026, renewed in September 2023. Won the Frauen-Bundesliga in her first season and continued to win it in her second. Voted Fans Player of the Season and nominated for the 2023 Ballon d'Or, ranked 23rd. She also scored in 4 consecutive Bundesliga games in 2023-24. In 2024-25, Stanway contributed 8 goals plus 5 assists despite being injured early in the year. National team career. Youth, U15 U20. U17, captain, scored 23 goals in 27 games, won bronze at the 2016 UEFA U17 Championship. U20, scored 6 goals at the 2018 FIFA U20 Women's World Cup, tied with top scorer but behind in assists, helped England win bronze. England senior team, since 2018. Debuted in November 2018 and scored in a 3-0 win over Austria. Met at Euro 2022, Euro 2025, both winners, and the 2023 World Cup final, won 1-0 by Spain. Scored the equalizer in the 2023 World Cup group stage, versus Haiti, and scored at Euro 2025 as England beat Wales. As of mid-2025, she has made 78 to 84 appearances and scored 24 goals. Injuries. Current status, 2025. In early 2025, Stanway injured the lateral cruciate ligament, LCL, of her right knee in training and underwent surgery. Bayern confirms she will be out for a few months. Coach Wiegman updates that Stanway has returned to training and has made a few appearances since the start of the summer, has not suffered a relapse and is still in the stable group to attend Euro 2025 if she recovers. Playing style. Influence. Combining technical and tactical skills with all-round defensive and attacking ability, she is highly regarded for controlling the tempo of the game and has a strong fighting spirit. Adapting to her new environment in Munich, she once shared that Bayern gave her the opportunity to be herself, and her form has improved significantly since moving to Germany. One silent shadow in the rain. It was a rainy afternoon in Munich in late May. The friendly ended in silence, as the players left the pitch, leaving puddles of water on the pitch. Georgia Stanway sat in the stands, her legs crossed over her backpack, her eyes fixed on the distance. She had scored today, a low-angled shot, the kind of goal that Sarina had once said was very Georgian, but no one was waiting for her in the tunnel, no laughter echoed. This match did not mean much to the team, but for her, every time she wore the national team jersey, it was like surviving the fear of being forgotten. A sound of boots echoed behind her. Georgia did not need to turn around to know who was coming. "You are not the type to get wet. And I am not the type to sit still," Sarina replied, putting on her ankle-length raincoat. She stood behind Georgia, not moving forward, not retreating. They always kept their distance like that, just enough to not overstep the mark, just enough to not be isolated. "Do you remember the Spain game at the Euros? How could I forget? Your shot was the reason we went through." "No, not the shot. It was the look in your eyes after I scored. It was the first time I saw you really believe in me. Like a person. Sarina nodded slightly, but said nothing. For her, trust was not something that came easily. It came in silence, in every pat on the back, in the look throughout training, in keeping Georgia in the starting lineup, even when the press was screaming for a replacement. Have you ever felt like you sacrificed too much for the team? The question popped out like a crack in a stone wall. Sarina sat down, silently, facing the empty field. I used to think that if my life was a song, I would only live the chorus. Fight, win, endure, fight again. But then there are moments like yours that day. It gives the song an extra melody. Not loud, but deep. A long silence. I wish I could give you a reason to stop fighting. Sarina turned to look at Georgia for the first time that evening. There was something in their eyes, not fairy tale love, nor simple gratitude, but a bond forged through blood, sweat, understanding, and silent sacrifices that no one but them could feel. No need to give me a reason. You are the reason. To the fire and the stone wall. Sarina Wiegman has never been a fan of players who act out. In her eyes, the national team is a place for individuals to serve the collective, not a stage for attention seekers. Discipline is not a prison, she always said, it's controlled freedom. So when Georgia Stanway was added to the preliminary list for the 2019 World Cup training camp, Sarina raised an eyebrow. A midfielder in her 20s, with a ponytail, a fearless gaze, and a style of play that seemed to be gambling. Too aggressive, too instinctive, too incompatible with the rigid formations she had worked so hard to build. In her first training session, Georgia tackled a senior defender hard. The ball rolled far, and the player fell on the goal line. The vice-captain shouted, "Does she think this is boxing?" Sarina just kept quiet, watched. Georgia did not apologize. She just stood up, brushed the grass off her knees, and shouted back, "I'm here to win a place, not to be friends." The training ground fell silent, but Sarina nodded slightly. That evening, she watched the tapes again. It stopped at one frame, Georgia chasing the ball, her eyes never looking around, just the ball, as if nothing else mattered. Could be a threat, or an uncut gem. In the following internal meeting, the assistant suggested bringing her back to the under-21 team to maintain stability. Sarina looked at the team sheet, then said slowly, "Chaos is also a kind of energy. The question is who is responsible for letting it exist." 2 weeks later, in an internal friendly, Georgia scored twice in 12 minutes. The first was a curling, almost careless shot. The second goal was a dribble past two players, a turn, and a shot with her weaker left foot. Sarina clapped her hands, something the team hadn't seen in a long time. That evening, Georgia was called into the coach's office. She walked in, her face half arrogant, half defensive. "Do you think you did well?" Sarina asked, her voice even. "Depends on how you define well." Sarina looked up. Silence. Then she replied, "Well, when I see you doing something crazy, and I can't find a reason to stop you." Georgia paused. That sentence she remembered for the rest of her life. From that day on, Sarina no longer saw Georgia as a troublemaker. She began to spend more time coaching her personal technique, teaching her how to restrain her excessive aggressiveness, teaching her how to read the diagram, but never taught her how to be less herself. Because that Stanway, is what Sarina cannot ignore. A small fire between stone walls. 3. The grass is still wet. London, July. The Euro semi-final has ended in defeat. 2-1. The England team has quietly retreated to their hotel, away from the cameras, away from the media, away from themselves. Sarina Wiegman remains on the pitch. Not for the press conference, but because she doesn't want to leave just yet. On that empty pitch, she feels something isn't over. The metal door opens behind her. Another person hasn't left yet. Georgia. She's still in her kit, her turf shoes are muddy, she's holding an unopened bottle of water. She doesn't look at Sarina, just sits down on the assistant coach's bench. I can't believe I missed that pass, she says hoarsely. It wasn't my fault. Yes, but people will think so. I saw the headlines. Sarina doesn't answer. She looked at the pitch, where Georgia had run like crazy at the last Euro, scoring against Spain, sending the whole stadium into a frenzy. But today, she was stunned. Have you ever thought, football isn't worth it anymore? A real question, unguarded. Sarina was silent for a moment. The wind blew gently, carrying the smell of grass, the smell of defeat. Yes, she replied. When I see talented kids being burdened by a single mistake, when I see people applauding for victory but turning their backs on those who fall, then, why do you stay? Sarina turned, her eyes not as cold as usual. Because I know, no one should fall alone. Georgia looked up at her, and for the first time that evening, her eyes were moist. Not because of defeat, but because of something bigger. You know, she whispered. Since U17, I never thought I would trust a coach. But you made me feel like I wasn't the system's fault. You saw me, really saw me. Sarina smiled slightly. I don't need a perfect player. I need someone who dares to make mistakes, and dares to stand up. They sat there, in silence. No one said anything more. No need to say anything more. The big screen on the field was still on. It showed the last moment, Georgia lying on the field, after a failed tackle. The opponent celebrating, the lights flashed like knives. But now, before their eyes was soft grass, cold night, and the presence of each other. No need for glory, no need for titles. There was only trust, nameless affection, and a deep sympathy that was too deep to touch.